Five Finger Death Punch got your six. Five Finger Death Punch has had a heck of a year without even releasing this album. In fact, they were having a heck of a year before even releasing a single off of it. Let's recap the Five Finger Death Punch wild year summed up in 2 moments in time. Of course, there was a couple of months ago whenever everybody thought this band wasn't even going to make it to Got Your Six, considering there was an on-stage meltdown that just crazed fans for a weekend thinking that this band was done in Nashville, Tennessee. And then, of course, less than a month ago, we have the Ivan Moody, spousal abuse debacle with TMZ deciding that they were going to write a fun and fancy little story that may or may not be true or may not be just a load of bollocks, malarkey crap. So now we finally get to the part of Five Finger Death Punch that everybody knows and everybody should really care about, which is the music. I say that kind of loosely, because I've reviewed the last couple of albums, and while many people may say that this band is just not my thing, I see the potential in this group, and I know that they have it in them. I've just been waiting for that album to come. Is Got Your Six that album? We need to find out. So, the first thing that needs to be noted is the length of this album. For a Five Finger Death Punch album, it's only 38 minutes in length, which means that Five Finger Death Punch fans are going to be disappointed that it's only 38 minutes in length, after having the Wrong Side of Heaven and the Right Side of Hell dual album cycle really consume them for about 1 to 2 years. This is now something that is a lot shorter, and that's all they're going to get. But Five Finger Death Punch has also promised everybody that they have run the full gamut of their sounds and are actually going to be presenting some things that are pretty damn unique and pretty damn one-of-a-kind, blah, 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 damn, shit, fuck. So, we start off with the title track. That's a great start. Actually, it is. It doesn't really matter. As long as you have a track that gets you started on a really, really strong foot, it doesn't matter if it's the title track or if it's a track called McButtland. So, we have Got Your Six, and it's probably one of the worst lyrically constructed songs I've ever heard in my life. It's pretty bad. This is a song that I understand is supposed to kind of be an anthem for somebody that's going into the pit, and musically enough, it's supposed to back that up. That way, whenever you sing Got Your Six about being in the pit, a pit gets started and a pit happens. Well, guess what? The lyricism to it is atrocious. The music behind it is kind of atrocious too, principally because it's very typical. There's a lot of typicality on this album. If there's one thing that I will say is they did not run the gamut of a lot of their sounds at first. We'll get there, trust me. Oh, by the way, just to throw this out there, Got Your Six, 2 songs later, no longer the worst lyrically constructed song I'd ever heard. Boots and Blood happens. And it's essentially a song that has 2 very simple structures to it. First of all, within the verses, fuck this, fuck that, fuck this, fuck that. Then we get to a chorus, and then we get back to fuck this and fuck that. Fuck, 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 fuck. Not to mention there's a line about fuck you druggies and fuck you alcoholics, whenever Ivan Moody is, of course, an alcoholic himself. Hypocritical much. But that's okay. That's poetic justice, that's poetic freedom. That would be like if I said, that Coverkillernation never gets mad, he's the nicest man on earth and everybody loves him. Yeah, lie, 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 hypocrite, 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 if I did that. Which I just did, so, joke's on me. But who would have thought that at the end of the day, who would have thought that after listening to the first half of this album, that Jekyll and Hyde, which we kind of lambasted a little bit whenever it first drops, would actually be a highlight of this album on the first half. Because that's actually what sort of happens. Wash It All Away, which follows it, improves the musicality for a moment. It has a very addicting hook that... but then it gets into this very typical and overly seen and overly heard chorus pattern, which I loved the fact that this hook and this verse riff was just really strong and lyrically speaking, it was just sort of bleh, but it really just gave it a great setup for a chorus to be really triumphant, and then it ended up being just really typical and extremely, extremely predictable, and it was kind of a letdown, which aside from that, Wash It All Away transforms into the true highlight of the first half of the album, but there's just some disappointment with the way in which the whole entirety of the thing went down. But, you know, I'm willing to forgive that, considering this is the best song thus far the album has been able to offer to us. If there's another thing that I'll say about the second half of this album, and really for a great portion of this album in general, is the fact that the soloing and the guitar work jumps from a really par for the genre to being somewhat decent. And actually, the solos are very good, considering whenever the solos or the introductions occur, you actually get a break from the lyricism. And that's not a good sign. That's not a good statement to make, considering one of the principal aspects, one of the principal portions of Five Finger Death Punch's music that everybody really knows and really likes is the lyricism, because it has this machismo, this bravado to it. It has this, oh, right up in your face, punch you, goddammit, like MMA is right here. Are we in that freaking hotel room again? We weren't the first time. Are we now? Nope, we still aren't, considering the woman. You get the point. You get the freaking point. My nemesis on the second half of this disc is actually a highlight. It's a very strong song, it has very good capabilities, and it actually executes them quite nicely. The lyricism does not bog this song down all that much. No Sudden Movement actually tries five-finger thrash metal, and it actually got better results. I would say that the results of this little experiment were better than the TMZ article's description of Ivan's fighting skills, at least. I think that's kind of fair. What do you think? Question Everything tries to actually infuse a little bit more atmosphere, and considering this is the longest track on the album at more than 5 minutes of length, most of these songs teeter around the 3 to 4 minute mark, you had to have a little bit something extra to really throw in and really deliver something new to the ladies and gentlemen of Five Finger Death Nation. Which they were able to do this with a little bit of an atmospheric passage with some soft guitar work, some acoustic guitar work, and it works better than the entire rest of the song, because it's actually Five Finger Death Punch saying what they said they were going to do and trying some different things and running the gamut musically, considering you went from a hard-edged thrash sound, which they always had the capability of, and then going to this. So they, for a while there, actually showcase a little bit more diversity, like they actually did attempt to try different sounds on this album. So do you guys like Hatebreed? Because this is worse than Hatebreed. Yeah, Hatebreed's not that bad. I'm not trying to throw jabs here, but at the same time, this is something that's really par for that course. It's that macho, bravado, get down in the pit and hit somebody square in the face type of metal. And this is an album that actually really takes a step back for this band. See, even though we criticized albums such as American Capitalist and The Wrong Side of Heaven and The Right Side of Hell, there were at least some things that were being done on those albums that were being done correctly, as far as not only the lyricism was concerned, but the music itself seemed to have a real wide spectrum and range. And especially on Wrong Side of Heaven, Right Side of Hell Part 1, where there were some guests that really gave a lot of extra flavor to that disc, should I say, that really could have been used here, and it would have been a very nice addition, would have probably helped it quite a bit. Unfortunately, and I know that we've talked about it before, so everyone's probably sick to death to hear me saying it, but the lyricism is still one of the worst aspects of this band, and it only continues to go downhill on Got Your Six. For everybody who complains about the lyricism of emo music, who complains about the lyricism of Asking Alexandria, Blood on the Dance Floor, of Hatebreed, of, you know, even of Justin Bieber songs. Listen, Baby might be better lyrically constructed than Boots and Blood. It's possible. It really is. The only difference is that I'm sure Ivan wrote all the lyrics to Boots and Blood, whereas Baby needed to be written by 7 people, so in reality, Justin Bieber only wrote like a 1/7 of that song, which makes it worse. Math is fucking hard. But either way, this is still a huge issue, and for those of you who still enjoy this style of just direct in-your-face, limited capability, I don't get it, and I doubt now that I have talked about 4 of their albums that I ever will. This is an album that almost doesn't deserve a score, but I'm going to give it one anyway. This is a 62 out of 100, and most of that score, I would say 58 of that 62 is the musicality. The lyricism barely gets points, because it's just that bad. Wash It All Away actually has a little bit to offer, considering it has some things about the business around it, and I know there's frustration out there, I get that, but it actually works kind of nicely. Aside from that, wow, what a bomb. What a steaming pile of shit. I have been shocked before, but this has truthfully taken me out of my game and out of my comfort zone to the level of crap that it has really spawned thanks to this disc. After the complicated year that FFDP has had, you would have hoped that Got Your 6 would have magnified things by making it better, sort of elevating them through all of this turmoil. Instead, this is just going to bring on a brand new wave of people talking about this band in a negative light, because this album does not deliver. At least not to me. What about you? Have you heard Got Your 6? God help you if you have. But if you have, I want to know what you think about it. I want to know what you think about Got Your 6. Let me know in the comments below. And if you hate the words that I have to say and want to hit me harder than Ivan hit his so-called fake wife, go right ahead. Make my day. And let me know in the comments below why you think I'm a total and complete asshole. I'm coverkillernation. See ya. That's all I have. There was a joke there, and I think the joke was silence being better than this album.